Good evening, everybody. Welcome to 15 Minutes with Uncle Ross. And no, it's not from X Cafe. What's the name of this place?
Happy View.
Happy View. But they're not also happy. They left me standing at the gate in the rain. Yes, I'm telling you. We won't mention names, but if you think of that little insect with 6 legs, there's lots of them all over. And if we call it in Thai, it's called mot. Yeah. And then I say to them, okay, so I'm going to go live now. And guess what? So everybody decides they want to have a chat. They're so funny. Oh. But what an incredible week it's been. Eh? God's been in such a blessing. I worked myself to a standstill, but I promise you, I'm right at the end of it now. We managed to do the final touches in the church and get the sound system sorted out. And then I'm going to relax. My wife just nods at me when I say, baby, okay, from now on, no more projects. She just looks at me, that knowing look. Heard that somewhere before. Anywho, I'm going to talk to us about this story over here. Can you see it? Is it clear? Sleeping Beauty. Another one of those famous stories that we heard when we were kids. I tell you what, I think a lot of people are getting rather unhappy with me with all these stories, but it's amazing how we've been taught generation after generation, and we teach our kids, and then we find out afterwards it's all kind of chochos going on. If you're not sure what a chocho is, it's the same thing with the 6 legs and that thing. So, if you know the story of Sleeping Beauty, it's about this king and queen desperate to have a child. Desperate. How many of you out there are just begging God and praying, Lord, please, I want to fall pregnant? Same thing with this king and queen. And what happens is, they were very unhappy because they couldn't have any children. But at last, they get a little daughter. But here's the little funny thing. So they don't go, and dedicate the child at the church and, what we would consider normal. No. They go to 7 fairies. They've been ridiculous. And they had a special do, and they get all the 7 fairies to come give their special blessing and gift. Come on. Yes. So everybody's there. 6 little fairies are there, and they get a golden plate with a golden knife and fork. But the one old auntie, the one old fairy, it sounds weird. Okay. It just sounds... Yeah. But anyhow, so the fairy comes late and just gets a normal plate and is totally offended. Surely the fairy should have just taken a little magic one and tapped it and then turned it into a golden plate. But no. So she's miffed. And because she didn't get a golden plate. So here's the thing. So then the king is like, oh, sorry, please, bring her a plate. She goes, no, too late. You know how we are sometimes, how we sulk when we don't get what we want. And then we think that if we keep acting in a certain way, that it'll make people feel bad. And that makes us feel important. Hey, you love the story, Sleeping Beauty. Okay, I want to read to us. So Then, the youngest fairy, here's the old fairy saying that she's going to do something bad to this child because she didn't get a golden plate. I thought all fairies are supposed to be good little fairies. But a demon's a demon. It doesn't matter if you call it a fairy or a goblin, or a demon's a demon. Yes. Don't look at me like that. I'm telling you the truth. Okay. So it says here, the young fairy who sat near overheard her angry threats. The good godmother, fearing the old fairy might give the child an unlucky gift, hid herself behind the curtain. She did this because she wished to speak last and perhaps to change the old fairy's gift. And it says that the old fairy left for 50 years. I mean, you talk about a long time. Bitterness. 50 years of bitterness. Oh, I wish you bad. How many of you are carrying bitterness and unforgiveness and resentment for year upon year, and you can't understand why your life is miserable? There's a clue. Anyhow. So the first fairy stepped forward and said, the princess shall be the most beautiful woman in the world. There's a good blessing. The second said, she shall have a temper as sweet as an angel. Now imagine a demon saying that somebody should have a temper as sweet as an angel. So weird. The third, she shall have a wonderful grace in all that she does or says. Yes. The fourth, she shall sing like a nightingale, not like a crow. The fifth says, she shall dance like a flower in the wind. So poetic, eh? Yeah. The sixth says, she shall play music as was never heard on earth. Then the old fairy's turn came. Shaking her head spitefully. I try and do like a grumpy, spitefully face. She said, when the princess is 17 years old, she shall prick her finger with a spindle, and she shall die. What kind of a blessing is that? For goodness sake. All the guests trembled, and many of them began to weep. The king and queen wept loudest of all. Then the wise young fairy came from behind the curtain. Maybe that fairy came out of the closet. But they said it was a curtain. And said, do not grieve, O king and queen. Your daughter shall not die. I cannot undo what my elder sister has done. The princess shall indeed prick her finger. The spindle. I nearly said something about the prick part, but no. But she shall not die. She shall fall. I mean, come on. She won't die. How's this for a nice, soft alternative? She shall fall into a sleep that will last 100 years. She may as well have been dead. At the end of the time, a king's son shall find her and awaken her. Okay, so you're not going to die. You're just going to be zombatized for 100 years. It's a long time, eh? Yeah, it's a very long time. Immediately, all the fairies vanished. The king was hoping to save his child even from this misfortune and demanded that all the spindles should be burned. This was done, but it was all in vain. One day the princess was 17 years of age, and the king and the queen left her alone in the castle. She wandered about the castle and at last came to a little room at the top of a tower. There, an old woman, so old and deaf that she had never heard of the king's command, sat there spinning. Yes, I tell you. What are you doing, good old woman? Asked the princess. I'm spinning, my pretty child. I said for an old woman. Long story short, she pricks her finger and falls asleep. Yes. So, the fairy touched her with a magic wand, and all the palace, except the king, ladies, gentlemen, maids, foot grooms, and even the horses, she touched them all, and they all went to sleep. Oh my goodness, I didn't know that. Did you know that? That they all slept for 100 years? Yeah. How come I didn't know that? Maybe it's because I don't believe in fairies. Hey Russell, behave yourself. No, I won't. Yes, you will. No, I won't. Okay, where are we? And she touched them all. Some of the gentlemen were bowing to the ladies, and the ladies were embroidering, and the grooms stood currying their horses. They made curry out of horses. That's weird. And the cook was slapping the kitchen boy. Imagine. You're catching a fat slap and go. Now, do you feel the pain in 100 years' time when you wake up? Or does that pain passes? I don't know. In a little while, there's... Oh, so yeah, so okay, they're all sleeping. Now, this is getting too long now. But anyhow, a king's son comes along. And, let me see. Let me get right near the... Oh, yeah. At last, the prince came to a chamber of gold where he saw upon the bed the fairest sight he had ever beheld. A princess of about 17 years who looked as if she had just fallen asleep. Well, pal, for the last 100 years they would have told you that she was sleeping. I mean, come on. Any other clues you would like? Anyhow, okay, sorry. Little deviation over there. And, trembling, the prince knelt beside her and awakened her with a kiss. And the enchantment was broken. And the princess looked at him with wondering eyes. I hope she didn't have an eye problem. One eye wandered that way and the other eye wandered the other way. She may have needed glasses after 100 years. She maybe had a bit of a sleepy eye. He said, "You, my prince, I've waited for you long." How could she know? She was asleep. She can't say she was waiting. She was sleeping. It was like 100 years later. So so happy were the two that they talked for hour after hour. Now let me tell you something. If I've been sleeping for 100 years, the last thing I want is somebody yakking in my ear hour after hour. I want to catch up. Hey, what did I miss? Oh, they got cell phones. What a cell phone. Oh, car. I didn't know they had car. You know what I'm saying? But anyhow, that's what they did. And anyhow, they got married, and the prince took his bride to his father's palace, where they lived happily ever after. Imagine marrying a bride of 117 years old. What would have happened if suddenly they gave her back to 100 years and just... Oh, precious, you look so wonderful. To be a bummer, eh? I don't know. Anyhow, so how does this relate to us and the Bible and our walk with God? I know you're wondering because you're thinking, oh, I know what he's got to say this week. Oh, I'm going to tell you anyway. Psalm 127, verse 3. And this is what it says. Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord. The fruit of the womb is a reward. So let me tell you, people that ask God to bless you with children, and you get the child, and then you go do silly things like go and see your psychic and your not the side kick, not side kick, psychic. You say it quickly. It's like not side kick, like a watch out. Or you'll go to your witch doctor, or you'll go to your whoever, and you ask them to put a blessing upon your child. It'll be just like that, the king and the queen who took the child that they were waiting for. Instead of them taking care of the child, they went and look what happened. A curse was placed upon the child. And it's the same thing. If you decide to do all this weird stuff, the child suffers. Deuteronomy 18:10-11. There shall not be found among you anyone who makes his son or his daughter pass through the fire, or one who practices, listen to this, witchcraft, or a soothsayer, or one who interprets omens, or a sorcerer, or one who conjures spells, or a medium, or a spiritualist, or one who calls up the dead. Oh my gosh, fairies. Yes. Proverbs 18, verse 21. And this is the thing that we need to be so careful of. We're so quick to say things over people's lives. And we need to be careful. Listen what it says. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. Yes. You know, if you've been growing up and you say, oh, I don't ever want to have children, or I don't want to this, or whatever you say has power. And we must be careful. James 6:10, James 3:6-10. I'm sitting here in the dark, and there's so many mosquitoes flying around me. It's confusing me. And the tongue is a fire and a word of iniquity. The tongue is so set among our members that it defiles the whole body and sets on fire the course of nature. And it is set on fire by hell. For every kind of beast and bird, of reptile and creature of the sea is tamed and has become tamed by mankind. But no one can tame the tongue. It is an unruly evil full of deadly poison. With it we bless God our Father, and with it we curse men who have been made in the similitude or image of God. Out of the same mouth proceeds blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things ought not to be so. Watch your tongue. Watch what you say. And you know what we love to say? Oh man, I was just joking. Really? So what is like a joke, a diluted curse? No, it's still, whatever you say has power. And I'll prove it to you. Ezekiel 37, 1-4. And we know it's about Ezekiel when he was in the valley of the dry bones. Hey. So I would normally, it says the Spirit of the Lord came upon him, but this is what I want to read. And he caused me to pass them all around, and behold, there were very many in the open valley, and indeed they were very dry. And he said to me, Son of man, can these bones live? And again he said to me, prophesy to these bones and say to them, O dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Thus says the Lord God to these bones, surely I will cause breath to enter you, and you shall live. I will put sinews on you and bring flesh upon you and cover you with skin and put my breath in you, and you shall live. Then you shall know that I am the Lord. How's it in your valley of dry bones? How's life been? Been a bit dry lately? Battling through things, going through the motions. Go to church because that's the right thing to do. We seem to be praying, and the prayers it's almost like they bounce back off the ceiling. Huh? You know that feeling. Everybody else around you irritates you because they seem so happy and so full of the Lord, and you're thinking, oh, what hypocrites! Makes me sick what they do. It's because your bones are dry. Yes. It's time to speak to your bones. And I didn't say throw the bones, because then you're going back to that sorcery thing. I'm not talking about throwing the bones. No, talk to the bones. Talk to your situation. Prophesy over it. Speak life over it. Breathe the breath of God over it, and it'll give it back life. Is that good? And then I'm going to end with this. It's in Mark 5, 35 to 41. And it was about the little girl that was sick, and then she stopped being sick. Yes. No, she wasn't healed. She died. Yes. So while he was still speaking, some came from the ruler of the synagogue's house, who said, your daughter is dead. Why trouble the teacher any further? As soon as Jesus heard the words that were spoken, he said to the ruler of the synagogue, listen to this. They spoke death and negativity. Listen immediately. Do not be afraid, only believe. And he permitted no one to follow him except Peter. So you unbelievers and doubters will not be allowed in when people are praying by faith. Oh, ouch. Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. Then he came to the house of the ruler of the synagogue and saw a tumult, and those who wept and wailed out loudly, because they used to have professional wailers. Yeah, Bob Marley and the Wailers. And he was such a fine man. Stop lying at the graveside. Yes. I used to gossip about that man, about his drinking and his womanizing. Now you stand next to his graveside and you say, oh, what a wonderful man. Moenie lieg nie. Hypocrite. And when he came in, he said to them, why make this commotion and weep? The child is not dead, but sleeping. And they ridiculed him, but when he had put them all outside, he took the father and the mother of the child and those who were with him and entered where the child was lying. Then he took the child by the hand and said to her, Talitha Kumi, which is translated, little girl, I say to you, arise. How cool is that? And here's a final word of advice. before you take your child to other people. And I'm talking about parents who then rely on teachers to teach their children. And then they wonder why everything goes wrong. But this is what the Bible says to us as parents. Train up a child in the way he should go. And when he grows old, he will not depart from it. Wasn't that just a lovely story? Huh? Sleeping Beauty. It's time to wake up, shake up, get up, but not give up. Okay. Thank you so much for your time and listening to my mutterings and my going-ons. But hopefully it's encouraging that we would realize that we need to be careful what we say and where we take our children to and who we expose our children to. Have a blessed Friday evening. I think I've lost 1 liter of blood here through my ears and the back of my neck through the mosquitoes. And have a great weekend. And remember, if I don't see you through the week, I'll see you through the window. Goodbye and God bless.